Mr. LeVar Burton, everyone. Welcome back to Orlando, sir. Thank you. Now, we have two audience Q&A mics set up, one right over here, one right over here. I'm going to ask LeVar a couple of things, and we want to make this all about you, the audience, and your question. So if you want me to, really do my job, I can ask all the questions, but I would much rather we get every single fan we possibly can in line to ask questions of our esteemed guest. Laura, this is my first time on stage with you, and I haven't told you this previously, but the work that you have done in children's television with Reading Rainbow is something I hope it continues to surprise you how many generations of kids like me it influenced into trying to find an active service like what you do with Reading Rainbow to pass on as you moved into the streaming world of YouTube and all this other stuff, how have you seen things change? What are some of the things that you think have improved for children's literacy that maybe Reading Rainbow has encouraged?
Well, the real truth is that Reading Rainbow has always been, and that aspect of my career has always been about fostering a love for the written word, turning little human beings who can read into readers for life. That's the deal, right? And I think that the current moment that we find ourselves in is only the most recent in a series of shifts and change that storytelling has undergone since human beings started telling stories, right? It began with pictographs on the walls of the caves. We developed language to take the place of the pictures. And then the technology kept advancing, right? Writing, cuneiform, the written word. Then the cool fire. Then we had printing, right? Printing press, a new technology, television, motion pictures, tablet computers. The technology, my point, keeps changing. The need for storytelling and its function in our lives, it doesn't change. It's just the platform that does. So whatever the technology is, we need to foster a love of reading. We proved with Reading Rainbow that the powerful engagement factor of television was exactly what we need in terms of giving kids a reason to really want to learn to read and be proficient at it. And then, because when we started Reading Rainbow in the 80s, the prevailing wisdom was that television was going to rock the brains of our children. And that happened a little. But what we did was we proved that television could be an aid in the service of educating our kids if we use it properly. And that was kind of revolutionary and counterintuitive. And then to have done it again with tablet computers when we launched the Reading Rainbow app, it just further proved the point. When you give children quality content in a manner that they gravitate towards, right? If you give them content and give them an opportunity to really take ownership of it, there's nothing you can't do. There's nothing you can't teach. And fundamental to everything they learn, in my view, is a proficiency in reading. It is the skill that gives you the most opportunity to reach your most full potential as a human being, bar none. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
I've got one more that I want to ask you before I turn it over to the audience. All of us in this room are fans of you in various different ways, and And some of us get involved in political campaigns. Some of us get in social media campaigns to get LeVar Burton on Jeopardy.
600,000 signatures. That's crazy, man. That's crazy. God bless you. It was amazing, and it was really the beginning of a moment that I feel like I'm experiencing now that is just extraordinary in terms of, they say, why not give people their flowers while they're still alive? Y'all are giving me my flowers right now. And I really appreciate it. And whereas the show that shall not be named is concerned, yes, I was disappointed to not be named the permanent Jeopardy host. I thought I was well suited to the position. Otherwise, I would have stuck my ass so far out there and said that I wanted it. I thought I was right for it. Turns out I was wrong. But that's okay. I was disappointed, but I got over it. And it accelerated the process that, as it turns out, it was never a competition to find a host. After all, it was a done deal. The fix, as they say, was in. The executive producer always intended to give himself the job, in spite of saying to my face on 2 separate occasions, and I quote, "I'm not interested in the job, LeVar. My job is to help them find the right person for the job." Thanks, Mike.
How far did that get him?
It got him the job.
For a minute.
Until it did. And I'll be honest with y'all, by the time that happened, Kunta was out. I didn't want no part of that mess anymore. So, yeah, it's dope. But I got over it.
And we got the LeVar Burton Jeopardy episodes, and we are sticking to them.
And let me tell you, I'm a person who definitely believes that everything happens for a reason. Even if in the moment I cannot discern what that reason is. You ever feel like that? But I also believe that if you are willing to sit in the discomfort long enough, you will find out what the purpose for that, whatever it is, that disappointment, what it's all about. One of the unforeseen consequences of not getting the Jeopardy gig is that it has accelerated my career to a new level of activity, beginning with a call from Hasbro asking me if I wanted to not simply host, but develop with them, executive produce, and share in the revenues of a show based on their IP called Trivial Pursuit. So remember when one door closes, y'all, another one opens, because I never would have gotten this deal from Jeopardy. They would have considered that they were doing me a favor, and I would have believed them. But I was willing to sit in the discomfort long enough to discover what it really was all about. So my fandom of that show, since I was in the 3rd grade, and watching it almost every night of my life, for the most of my life, and then doing what I do, it made sense to me. I badgered Trebek for years to do Celebrity Jeopardy, and he said we can't lower the quality of the questions for the contestants.
Oh.
I swear to God, that's what he said. And he's dead, and I would not lie on the dead. I was raised better than that. So when they finally did, I was jacked. And I won on Celebrity Jeopardy. I so what? 167,500 is what I won on the weakest link on the Star Trek edition, and that's one of the highest, I think it's one of the highest money totals ever won on that show, then or now. Google that shit. So I'm good. I'm okay. And thank you sincerely from the bottom of my heart for your support. And that's the first thing. Then we turn to the audience. Take the first question.
Kid questions are the best questions at Q&As. What do you got for us?
My name is Mike, and I've heard a rumor that
I have a feeling this is entirely Mike's question.
in space
Say again, Mike?
with Brent Spiner.
There's a rumor that
That he's going to space with Brent.
In space.
That he and Brent Spiner are not actually in space.
we're not actually in space. We're not now, Mike. We're here. Sherlock.
Oh, Sherlock in space.
So, okay, let me set the record straight, Mike, okay? I know what you're talking about now. Apparently, Brent Spiner was here yesterday morning. Am I right? And he talked about a new television series.
Yes, he did.
Now, how did he frame the idea for this came about?
I believe the words were something along the lines of the most magnificent and greatest actor of all time, Brent Spiner, and also his friend LeVar Burton. I might be remembering it wrong, but that's how I remember it, at least.
And so, it seems as though Mr. Spiner gave the impression that this was in fact his idea. Getting out.
It seemed rather evident by the way he carried it.
Mike, that was my idea, man. And he stole it. I mean, we were discussing it. He was in agreement with it. He thought, as I did, that it was a really great idea. And it may not be such a great idea, but I was really enthusiastic about it yesterday morning. And it might have been the coffee, I'm not sure. However, Sherlock and Watson in space? I'm not going to bet against it. They're making a lot of Star Trek content at CBS these days.
I remember 6 months for a new season of Star Trek. It seems like they're overlapping.
Yeah, they are overlapping. They are overlapping. So, I hope that answers your question, Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Sir.
I'll come do it.
I'll shout loud.
Brother, you must have a voice.
So several years ago, I was on a nostalgia kick. And one of the flicks I revisited was a movie called Smart House, man. And along the opening titles, I see your name under the director. So can you just talk about being part of that first generation of Disney originals and how you like it in the director's chair in general, man?
Disney original movies. Anybody remember them? No? Smart House. Smart House. One of the most popular Disney original movies ever. It's crazy. Jump, this house is jumping. Jump, this house is jumping.
I can still do the dance.
Let's do the dance.
Sir, it is too early.
That it is. So Smart House was just that. It was a TV movie, a Disney movie about a family who won a smart house. This was before smart houses were actually a part of our lives. The AI of the house, Pat, played by the fabulous Katie Seagal, went amok as smart houses do in movies, and hijinks ensued. The idea that this sort of wacky concept Disney Channel movie went on to influence and traumatize an entire generation of human beings who would grow up and be afraid of AI. I'm kind of proud of it.
Next up, right over here.
Hello, my name is Dan, and my question is, do you have any behind-the-scenes stories from past or present or future from Picard that you would like to share with us?
So the future part of that, you're asking, does LeVar like violating NDAs?
Yeah, you with the video camera rolling. I can tell you this, it was an absolute blast being together again. It is rare these days when we have an opportunity. I mean, you guys have heard how close we are, right? When I got married, Frank was my best man. Patrick, Jonathan, and Michael were my friends. We've seen each other through the birth of our children, through marriages, death of parents, divorces. In Patrick's case, divorce after divorce after Man likes to get married. What? And so the opportunity to be together again, and not just be together again, be together again in spacesuits and play these characters that we all, I mean, we love these people as much as you do. Trust me. And you will see, I'm so proud of us, because I think we all look pretty damn good. And what that means to me is I think not only are we aging and aging gracefully, but we're aging appropriately. And that's not always the case, right? And then there was the acting, which, if you can imagine how good the chemistry is, it's better now because our shared experiences are deeper and richer and have lasted longer, stood the test of time. And to be able to come in at the end of what has been a very long journey for Patrick and sort of see his energy level rise, because he was dead dog tired when we got there. And I really do believe that we helped carry him to the end in fine fashion because he was surrounded by love. We spent 3 days on a bridge that they built that was a replica of the Enterprise that we had during the series. Because we moved off of that ship as soon as we got into the features, right? When Maria crashed, it was all over. And so we had to get a new ship, and we did. We got a succession of them. But we went back to our bridge, and it wasn't exactly the ramp was a little steep, but the feeling that it invoked in us, that sense of coming home, was real. So we spent 3 days on this bridge, and it was magical. It was like being in a time machine. We were transported back to the late 80s, right? And early 90s. It was magical. It really was. So that's what I can share with you. I'm as eager to see this as you guys are. One of the blessings of this journey was that in the story, and I don't think I'm telling you details out of school, in the story, it's about the next generation of the next generation. And Jordy has 2 daughters, one of whom is being played by Mika Burton, my daughter. And of course, she's grown up with, these are her aunts and uncles, and they've known her since before she got here. And to be able to work with all of us in a professional environment for my kid, and I got to go to work with her every day. I drive us to work, and we carpooled every day, because she lives under my roof again. And it was glorious. And I would get, actresses have earlier makeup and hair calls than actors, but I would get up early to drive my kid to work because when is this going to ever happen again? And so that's what I can share with you about Picard TV.
To not completely spoil it for people who haven't finished Picard Season 2,
Oh,
at the end of Picard Season 2, a familiar face from the bridge of TNG returned to Star Trek, made me cry.
yeah,
Seeing Will Wheaton's face.
yeah.
What was it like finding out that Will was coming back to this
What an asshole! You said, I'm not going to do this, but I'm going to do it!
I didn't tell him how.
Okay, okay. Well, you know what? Will has been public about it, so it's not a secret. All right, I apologize.
I apologize for anything. That's the privilege. You're like the executive producer of Jeopardy here. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah, but you see what happens when you do?
We're learning lessons today.
Next question. Yeah, it is great to see Will, and the way they've done it is really quite brilliant. And it was hard for all of us, especially Will, to keep this under wraps because we have been continually and repeatedly asked, all of us, are you going to be in Picard? And for the longest time, we had to click no. So now it's out. They've announced it. And we can all celebrate and now just wait. They haven't announced when season 3 will begin. I hope and am hoping that it is sometime before the term.
My question is, what was it like playing yourself and meeting a starstruck fan in the TV show Community? And was that event based in reality at all for you?
Yes. I think Donald Glover and the Community writers, Megan Gantz, most particularly, really tapped into a phenomenon that I didn't see any of this coming. You know, I just was trying to do good from where I could, and the Roots experience was one that really showed me the power of television as a communications tool, and it just made sense at the time. Let's use television to get kids interested in books during the summer, which is where kids were in the 80s, sitting in front of the television. So to have this lasting impact, this lasting sort of feeling, nostalgic feeling that a lot of y'all feel, unintended consequence, but I'll take it. I'll take it. It's all good. It amuses me. And even when people come up and imitate Donald Glover in an over-exaggerated way, like in a photo op or at the table, I get a kick out of it because it actually is funny to me. And I can't say enough about my love and appreciation for Donald and everybody, Yvette, Joel, Danny, all of them at Community were so lovely and generous to me when I was there on those 2 occasions. So, yeah, I love playing myself. No preparation necessary.
Awesome, thank you.
Right over here.
Hi, LeVar. Loved you all my life. I just wanted to let you know that your appearance on this show that will not be named, which I will now be calling it from now on because it's fabulous. It's something that I grew up watching with my parents every day. And when Alex passed, it was kind of tough because he was part of our family.
Exactly.
You brought such an energy and a passion and a welcoming feeling to that show that we all loved you on it, and they are missing out. They're missing out. And I lost my father last year, and you are an excellent memory that we all had together. and I wanted you to know that. But I'm curious, it had to be kind of nerve-wracking to prep for that. So I wonder, what role is the most nerve-wracking that you've ever taken on?
I've
And
never
was
been
it
so scared
that?
in my life. Never, ever, 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 ever been so scared in my life.
Yeah, it didn't show. I swear.
Well, see, here's the thing, it did. Because in retrospect, I mean, I came back from taping the first episode and I looked at my wife, Stephanie, who was able to be there during COVID because she's also my makeup artist. And I said, how was it? She said,
Married for honesty.
Been married, come this October, 30 years together. If I don't trust this woman's opinion right now, I'm an idiot. Right? And she was right. I was very, very nervous. And so here's the thing. Had it been a real audition, the executive producer, the man who taught me how to play the game, would have come back and said, LeVar, you're doing great. Bring the energy down just a little. Just a little. Right? You're pumped, brother. Are you pumped? We love the enthusiasm, passion. You're nailing it. Just bring the energy down. Just a little. That would have been so valuable to me, but he didn't do that.
Well, I still love you.
I love you. I love you.
My friend better be reporting this, or I'm not talking to her ever again.
Now, threats, lessons, a lot of stuff happening this morning. Right over here.
Hi, Mr. Burton. Thank you so much for making reading magical. I watched your show, and now my daughter, she watches the reruns, and she loves reading so much. She's 8.
Can I share with you that depending upon when you started watching this show, they were all reruns.
It was the 80s.
But a new episode to you was a new episode.
My other thank you is a few months ago you donated your time to the cancer charity MPN Network. I was part of that. Thank you for that.
How are you part of the MPN network? Are you?
I was just a volunteer.
You were a volunteer.
And I was watching. You did
A live stream.
A live stream.
Yeah.
So thank you for your time. And one quick question: who's your favorite superhero?
My favorite superhero? I mean, I know I have one. I'll be honest with you. I grew up partly in what used to be called West Germany. My father was in the military, and so all of the entertainment media was in German. And I wasn't fluent in the language. We got all of our English language entertainment from the Armed Forces Radio Network, right? All the TV was in the German language because it was German TV. Comic books were the most predominant form of entertainment we had, and on Saturdays the tradition was you gather up all of your comic books in a cardboard box, and you would go from apartment block to apartment block on the base and trade comic books, because as I just said, a new comic book to you was a new comic book. And there were comic books in the pipeline that were literally decades old, right? But new content coming from the States was slow to trickle in. So I read a lot of comics, and I was exposed to, all of the DC and Marvel universe, and I do not know why. I just thought he was really cool. My favorite superhero, aside from the Fantastic Four, which has not received a really decent treatment in the motion picture arena, I was a huge fan of the Green Lantern, another underutilized, misinterpreted hero. So, Seth Rogen notwithstanding, Green Lantern sucks. And I'm hoping that someone will take another crack at it. Thank you.
Time is left, so we should be able to get to a bunch more questions. Go for it.
Hi, my name is Dottie Ann, and I wanted to tell you, as a teacher of 33 years elementary, your Reading Rainbow was one of my teaching tools. And the librarian always knew what episode that I had showed that week because they all descended upon the library to get the book out. I can't tell you how much that show influenced my students and the enthusiasm for reading that you created. And your personality, I just heard you laugh a little bit ago, and it sounded like the same guy back then. And of course, your acting and your fellow Trekkers have been, a lot of people say, we love Star Wars. Why do you love Star Trek? I love Star Trek because they have a purpose of peace. It's not just go out and shoot up the enemy. It's, we have a reason to do this, and we're going to try and help you and become better people. And your contribution and your crew, I'm awe-inspired. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Yes, good morning, LeVar.
Good morning.
I recently got to go on the Star Trek cruise, and I must say we missed not having you there. But
Thank you. Kunta doesn't do boats much.
Wow.
Very true.
Well, I was curious, are there any other charitable organizations besides Reading Rainbow that you were involved in? I know Anna Henry mentioned one. Could you expound on what that organization is?
Well, Reading Rainbow is a charitable organization. When we finished, the app that we created ended its life as Skyberry. It started its life as the Reading Rainbow app. And it was Skyberry before it was all said and done. And I never intended to, be an app developer as a career. It was sort of a detour. So a couple of years ago, I was able to put that digital asset in the hands of Reading is Fundamental, an organization that I really love and support. Reading is Fundamental is responsible for distributing hundreds of thousands of books a year to kids. In most cases, their very first book that they ever owned. And so they were looking to build a digital solution, a way to distribute books digitally to kids. And having built one, I was able to put that one in their hands. So that's an ongoing effort. And it's definitely a tie and mission aligned to what my brand is. The efforts that the gentleman mentioned earlier, I've spent the past year being a spokesperson for an organization that promotes MPNs, he called them. They're myeloproliferative neoplasms, rare blood cancers. And MPNs are kind of invisible in the population because the symptoms are wide and varied and oftentimes mimic other maladies. And so there's not a lot of awareness. And I'm very, very big on awareness these days, especially as I find myself in this dynamic, as we all do, where there's so much polarization in our society. And I'm looking for how what it is I do can contribute to this moment. And I do believe that storytelling has a place, and as I desperately try and find what its place is in what I see are these very difficult conversations that we need to have. We need to talk about race in America. We've avoided talking about race in America for 200 plus years. We haven't gotten us any closer to understanding that aspect of ourselves any better. And so, what I know is that, or what I believe, and I'm beginning to try and put into practice, is that if I am willing to sit long enough, sit in the discomfort like I was talking about earlier, long enough to hear someone's story, and if they are similarly disposed, to be inclined to sit long enough for me to tell them mine. Even if we have beliefs that are on the opposite ends of the spectrum from one another, I believe that in the course of that conversation, that sometimes difficult conversation, we will find some kind of commonality. And if we can find find commonality, that breeds understanding. If we can understand some aspect of one another's lives, like things we have in common, right? Then we are on our way to empathy. And empathy is what we're missing in this conversation right now, right? A feeling of openness to one another, a willingness to put ourselves to walk in another person's shoes to see how they experience life. What's life like through their skin? Not just mine. Let me put aside my perspective and point of view for just a few uncomfortable moments to just use my imagination, which I believe is the superpower of human beings, but that's another conversation. And if we can get to empathy, then the next step is compassion. An active, loving energy being extended from us to the other. The Dalai Lama says that compassion is the most powerful force in the universe. And I believe him because it is indeed about an active love, an active empathy. So, again, I don't know, but I suspect that this is at least a pathway, and it's the one that I'm going to try and pursue in the service of what I do being bringing something of value to this moment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi there, my name is Lindsay.
Hi, Lindsay.
How are you? I grew up watching Reading Rainbow, and I just wanted to thank you because you made such a huge impact on my life and reading. Sorry, I don't know why I'm so emotional. I'm a teacher now, so I get to pass on that love of learning.
I love you, Lindsay.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you. I cannot tell you how disconcerting and at the same time how deeply I feel every time someone addresses me and bursts into tears. I love my life.
So when you took on the role of Jordy LaForge, did you have any thought or realize that you were going to have an effect on showing a disabled person in the future being productive and being a part of society as much as your character did end up doing?
I had every hope and expectation that Jordy would represent for people with physical challenges exactly in the same manner that Nichelle Nichols represented for Black people. And women. That's what Star Trek is about, man. That's what it's about. Infinite diversity and infinite combinations and respect for all life everywhere.
There's a generation of us to say thank you.
No, thank you. This is it.
Hi,
No pressure. Make it a good one.
my name is
Memorable.
My name is Charlie, and I think acting is an amazing career, but I understand how hard it is to be even glanced at by the TV show or movie making industry. And I was wondering, what's the story behind your very first gig, and how did you get there? How did you feel?
How old are you, Charlie?
13.
13. You prepared your question. I'm really proud of you and impressed. Clearly you have aspirations to be an actor.
I do.
Oh, I'm not surprised. My first job, my first professional audition was for the role of Kunta Kinte. So I was 19. I was a student at the University of Southern California studying theater. My story is one in a lot. here's what I can tell you about the pathway that you seem inclined towards. It is difficult, Charlie, and you will need to learn to develop a resilience to rejection. And oftentimes you will feel that rejection on a very personal level. You'll feel like you yourself, the very core of who you are, is what is being rejected. And you will need to find the intestinal fortitude to continue to expose yourself to that kind of rejection. Having said that, if you possess the passion for developing the craft of an actor, which is to say not simply desire to be famous, but to be an actor, if that passion burns bright enough to sustain you through the rejection and the uncertainty of knowing when your next job will come, if you are still and yet determined to do this thing, God bless you.
Thank you.
I want to wrap up with. You're here the rest of the day today or tomorrow?
I'm here the rest of the day and tomorrow.
And tomorrow. So if you did get a chance to ask LeVar a question, he'll be at his table. Go down and see him. One of the most generous and kind and candid guests on the circuit by reputation and by example.
Ladies and gentlemen, give Moises a hand. We'll definitely.
You've been very candid about what it means to you when people burst into tears, when they give you notes of appreciation. Doing conventions for these many years with the castmates, you've heard so many stories, you've had so many experiences. It's been a while since we've been doing these regularly. What is it like being back out there and getting love from all of us who have been closed up in our houses, not going out, doing these things, meeting new friends, meeting new fandoms, and that sort of thing?
Well, like I said, a lot happened, since we've been in rooms like this, right? And I definitely feel like I have felt the love over certainly this past 12 months or so. We're all experiencing, it is not without risks, but it's good to be together again. It really is.
First, we are American Sign Language interpreters.
Yes!
Keep it going, everyone. Without you, these shows would not be possible. And keep it going one more time, everyone, for LeVar Burton!
I'll see you next time, but you don't have to take my word for it.